For over a decade, BTS stood as the most powerful K-pop group globally, leading a wave that redefined music markets, particularly in the United States. With their compelling performances, cross-cultural appeal, and large-scale fan engagement, BTS shattered global charts, won awards, and held sold-out stadium shows in major U.S. cities. However, in a significant shift that industry analysts are now closely monitoring, Jungkook, one of the youngest members of BTS, has begun to outshine the group in terms of solo popularity, especially in the American entertainment market. This evolution is not rooted in mere speculation or fan hype. Data from music streaming platforms, social media analytics, and ticket sales from recent concerts suggest that Jungkook's individual influence has grown at an exponential rate since his solo debut. While BTS still maintains a strong collective fan base, recent developments suggest that Jungkook's solo career is moving in a direction that positions him as a dominant independent artist in the U.S. music industry. Jungkook's first clear indication of solo potential began with the release of his debut solo single. Within hours of its release, the track climbed to the top of Spotify's global and U.S. charts. The response from the American audience was immediate and intense, particularly on platforms like TikTok and YouTube, where his music was not just listened to, it was integrated into trends and challenges, amplifying reach far beyond traditional K-pop boundaries. Streaming data reflected a major departure from the usual patterns associated with BTS group releases. Whereas BTS songs typically surged due to concentrated fan efforts, Jungkook's solo material enjoyed a broader, more organic uptake in the U.S. market. American radio stations began rotating his tracks with greater frequency, something rarely achieved by non-Western solo artists without significant promotion. What differentiates Jungkook's solo momentum is the strategic alignment of his brand with the U.S. music infrastructure. From collaborating with American producers and artists to launching promotional campaigns tailored to Western audiences, Jungkook's solo efforts have been deeply localized. This localization did not sacrifice his identity as a Korean artist. Rather, it strategically expanded his appeal to a wider, more diverse American demographic. His team also understood the value of timing and platform choice. By releasing singles on Fridays, U.S. time, participating in American talk shows, and engaging in interviews with major outlets like Rolling Stone, Billboard, and GQ USA, Jungkook positioned himself as not just a K-pop idol, but a global pop artist. The announcement of Jungkook's solo concert tour marked a definitive turning point in his career. Tickets for venues like Madison Square Garden in New York City, Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles, and United Center in Chicago sold out within minutes. The demand was so high that additional dates were added in several cities to accommodate the overwhelming interest, unlike typical BTS group tours, which focus heavily on fandom coordination. Jungkook's solo tour attracted a wider spectrum of attendees, including general pop listeners unfamiliar with BTS's broader discography. His ability to engage audiences outside the ARMY fandom demonstrates a new level of influence, one that places him closer to Western pop stars than traditional K-pop idols. Billboard Hot 100 placements, particularly in the US, have become a defining metric for mainstream success. Jungkook's solo releases not only entered the chart, they debuted within the top 10, a rare feat for Asian solo acts. His consistency on the chart over multiple weeks signaled more than a temporary surge. It indicated staying power. Critically, this level of chart performance has not been matched by BTS as a group since their group hiatus began. This contrast has been highlighted in several music industry reports that identify Jungkook as a standout success story in the post-group promotion era. His solo career did not merely sustain interest in BTS, it expanded it. Jungkook's popularity in the United States is not limited to music. His presence in fashion, branding, and digital influence has also expanded dramatically. Multiple US-based fashion houses have expressed interest in collaborations, and his appearances at international fashion events have been covered extensively by Western media outlets. His Instagram account, which saw rapid growth following his solo debut, has become one of the most followed among Asian male celebrities. Endorsements and partnerships with brands like Calvin Klein further solidified his brand appeal in the American market. As Jungkook's presence in the American music scene grows, it is increasingly clear that his influence extends far beyond the stage. In Chapter 1, we explored the structural components of his U.S. popularity, concert sales, chart performance, and strategic rollout. Chapter 2 focuses on the power of his solo brand and how American media, advertisers, and audiences have actively embraced Jungkook as a standalone figure in entertainment since his solo breakout. Jungkook has received unprecedented coverage in high-profile American publications. Outlets such as the New York Times, Rolling Stone, Forbes, Variety, and Time magazine have all featured Jungkook in interviews, cover stories, or feature pieces focused on his solo evolution. These features typically cover not only his music, but also his artistic process, fashion choices, and public image as a solo performer. Unlike the previous media coverage of BTS as a unit, often centered around their cultural impact or fanbase strength, Jungkook's media narrative is focused more squarely on individual artistry. His vocal abilities, genre versatility, and market appeal are analyzed using the same metrics applied to mainstream American pop artists. Critics have begun placing him alongside global solo acts, rather than limiting the conversation to the K-pop sphere. A significant component of Jungkook's rise is his ability to successfully transition from being perceived as 1/7 of BTS to being seen as a complete performer in his own right. This is not a common transition. Many idols who embark on solo projects continue to be categorized solely through their group affiliations. Jungkook, however, has managed to build a distinct brand identity that holds weight even when BTS is not part of the discussion. This shift is measurable across social media trends, merchandise sales, and independent streaming metrics. For example, when analyzing Spotify's artist performance data, Jungkook's name appears independently in top lists, often ranked above the entire BTS discography in the American market. His name now registers as a separate trend on Google Trends, YouTube search traffic, and TikTok engagement analytics. Another indicator of his solo dominance is the caliber of US-based brands approaching him for endorsement deals. Jungkook's collaboration with Calvin Klein is a prime example. The campaign, launched initially in Asia, was rapidly adapted for North American markets after brand analysts observed a significant spike in American engagement. Since then, Jungkook has been linked with multiple high-value partnerships that are not typically offered to Asian male artists. Discussions within advertising circles have highlighted his image as globally relatable, allowing companies to bridge Eastern and Western markets without needing extensive localization. One of the challenges in measuring long-term musical success is separating virality from sustained engagement. While many artists can generate short bursts of attention through viral moments, Jungkook has proven his ability to maintain steady numbers over time. His solo singles continue to appear on American streaming playlists like Today's Top Hits, Pop Rising, and Hot Rhythmic, often retaining placement for weeks, not just days. Data from Spotify for Artists and Apple Music indicate that Jungkook's listeners in the US are not limited to BTS fans. Demographic breakdowns show that he is increasingly gaining traction with mainstream pop listeners, especially in cities like Los Angeles, New York, Miami, and Chicago. These are markets traditionally dominated by American pop and hip-hop artists, making his inclusion all the more noteworthy. Another area that sets Jungkook apart from typical idol-turned-soloist stories is his live performance capability. His concerts in America, although supported by advanced production, have focused heavily on live vocals, minimal lip-syncing, and genre-spanning setlists. Critics from American media have pointed out the professionalism and polish of these performances. He adapts well to Western stage formats, often incorporating R&B and pop rock elements into his performances, styles that appeal directly to the tastes of the U.S. concert-going demographic. Furthermore, concert reviews in Billboard and Pitchfork have commended his ability to sustain audience attention without the backup of a group dynamic. Fan behavior in America has also shifted. While BTS still holds a strong collective fanbase known as ARMY, data from X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok show that a large segment of online discourse now revolves around Jungkook specifically. This is seen in hashtag usage, fan cam distribution, and account creation centered on his solo activities. Interestingly, a portion of new American fans entering the K-pop space report discovering Jungkook before BTS. This reversal in entry point is significant, suggesting that Jungkook's solo appeal is no longer dependent on prior knowledge of BTS, an outcome that few could have predicted during the peak of group activities. Major platforms like Spotify and YouTube have also acknowledged his solo momentum. In early 2025, Spotify included Jungkook in its Global Pop Artists to Watch campaign specifically targeting North American users. YouTube Music US featured a front-page banner for his solo MV launch, a slot usually reserved for Western artists like Taylor Swift or The Weeknd. These moves indicate confidence from major platforms that Jungkook is not just benefiting from a residual BTS effect, but is now driving user engagement in his own right. As Jungkook's solo career continues to redefine expectations for K-pop artists in Western markets, one of the clearest indicators of his independent success lies in the economics of his solo concert tour across the United States. In this chapter, we focus on ticket sales, venue selection, pricing models, secondary market activity, and merchandise revenue, all of which reveal how Jungkook's solo performances have transformed into a dominant force within the American live entertainment sector. When the first batch of Jungkook's US solo concert tickets went on sale, the results were immediate. Most venues, many of which were major arenas typically reserved for top-tier Western acts, reported sellout times of less than 10 minutes. In Los Angeles, the Crypto.com arena sold out completely during the pre-sale phase, prompting the addition of a second date. A similar pattern followed in New York, Chicago, Atlanta, and Houston. This pace surpassed many K-pop solo tours and even outperformed several group-based events. Industry observers pointed out that the demand level for Jungkook's concerts mirrored that of global pop headliners like Dua Lipa, Olivia Rodrigo, or Shawn Mendes, who typically dominate U.S. tour circuits. Venue selection is a key indicator of an artist's market status. Jungkook's decision to perform in arenas such as Madison Square Garden, New York, the Kia Forum, Los Angeles, and United Center, Chicago, reflects high confidence from both promoters and booking agents. These venues have a typical capacity of 15,000 to 20,000, and their use implies a substantial expectation of attendance and revenue. In contrast, many international artists start in theaters or mid-sized venues before graduating to stadium-level performances. Jungkook's leap to large-capacity arenas in his first major U.S. solo tour signals his positioning as a high-tier live act. Ticket pricing for Jungkook's solo tour followed a dynamic pricing model often used by major promoters such as Live Nation. Base ticket prices ranged from $75 to $350, depending on location and seating. VIP packages with meet-and-greet options and merchandise bundles went as high as $900 and sold out rapidly. What stood out was the willingness of U.S. fans to pay premium prices for solo access to Jungkook, even without the presence of BTS as a group. Economists tracking live music spending in 2025 noted a spike in per-ticket revenue on Jungkook's dates, aligning with revenue figures typically associated with artists like Harry Styles and Billie Eilish. Resale markets such as StubHub, SeatGeek, and Vivid Seats showed high aftermarket demand for Jungkook's concerts. Ticket prices doubled or tripled in major cities, with some VIP passes being listed at over $2,000. In certain cases, resale prices for Jungkook's tour exceeded resale figures for BTS's last U.S. stadium tour. This data reinforces Jungkook's appeal in the American consumer market, as well as the scarcity factor created by his limited solo dates. High resale volumes not only reflect initial demand but also prove market fluidity, a vital metric used by analysts to determine artist longevity. Concert merchandise has become a major revenue stream in modern touring, and Jungkook's solo shows are no exception. On-site merchandise booths and official online stores featured limited edition items ranging from apparel to signed memorabilia. Most items sold out within hours of release or within the first hour of concert gates opening. Brand integration was also tightly managed. Jungkook's collaboration with global fashion brand Calvin Klein extended into concert merch design, incorporating minimalist branding aesthetics favored by US fans. The result was a merchandise line that appealed not only to traditional K-pop buyers, but also to fashion-conscious concertgoers in major cities. Jungkook's solo tour has had a measurable impact on local economies. Hotels near concert venues reported high occupancy rates. Restaurants saw increased foot traffic, and transportation services, Uber, Lyft, local metros, noted demand spikes on concert nights. Tourism boards in cities like Dallas and San Francisco highlighted Jungkook's concerts in press releases promoting cultural events, treating his shows as high-value visitor drivers. This phenomenon is typically reserved for globally recognized entertainers, adding another layer of confirmation that Jungkook's solo appeal translates into economic movement. Behind the scenes, tour sponsors played a significant role. US-based beverage and tech companies joined as partners, offering experiential zones at venues and sponsoring digital content tied to the tour. This reflects an important shift. Brands now recognize the marketing value of aligning with Jungkook independently of BTS. What's more, data showed that brand recall during these solo concerts remained high, further solidifying the strength of his name recognition in the US commercial space. Such partnerships are typically extended to artists with a reliable return on investment and significant cross-market reach.